Welcome back to CJ Smokehouse. It is your pit hobbyist, CJ. Today I'll be showing you how to trim, season, and set up your beef Dino Style ribs in preparation for smoke day. Come along for the ride and enjoy the show. So as we begin trimming on our beef Dino ribs, we want to take note of a few rules. We're going to use our left hand to be the sole hand that's touching the meat only, and our right hand, which is uncovered and not gloved, to be the hand that is going to be holding our knife as well as touching our spice box when we go to seasoning up these beef Dino ribs. So right now we're just going to kind of size up these ribs, so to speak, just to kind of see exactly what's going on. I'll kind of show y'all what's up. As you can see here, we got some nice marbling on the top, as well as if you look in on the side, you can see some good marbling here in on that beef. Our goal here is to just kind of take away as much fat as we can off the top side here to get as much meat exposure, so that way when we apply our spices, our salt is going to be able to penetrate into this beef. So I'm going to go ahead and begin right now with our trim. I'm going to hold these ribs kind of on an angle and use this knife and kind of cut away from myself. So as you can see here, I'm just kind of going in there on these ribs here. And if you do just so happen to lose some of the meat in the process, it's okay. We're not trimming for a competition at all, so it's perfectly fine. And be sure and take note that we do not want to cut into the membrane side. The reason not is because we're going to rely on that the membrane to keep this beef rib all together, because our cooking process, you know, is pretty strenuous, and we don't want to have our meat just falling apart crazy. That membrane really helps to retain and keep that beef rib together. So we're going to move these cuttings to the side over here. Let that rib kind of be lone standing there. And we're going to go ahead and set our knife down to the side here and let y'all take a look at that as we prep up for seasoning time. So now that we got the trimming process done, we're going to go ahead now and get our spices and start the seasoning. Now we're going to go ahead and start seasoning up these beef Dino Style ribs. I like to start by seasoning up the side that is not going to be, you know, that I'm not really worried about building my bark on. So in this case, it's going to be on this membrane side. So I'm going to take my salt and pepper mix here, and we're going to just go ahead and just sprinkle it on top of these ribs. Once we get that top side set like that, we're going to make sure that we season the sides of our ribs too. And don't be shy. I mean, we're not using, you know, we're using, you know, 1 part salt to 1 part black pepper 16 mesh, and we're just going to just sprinkle this down. But don't be afraid to go too much sometimes, because this is a lot of meat, and that salt's not going to make your food like extremely salty. So, you know, we're going to keep on seasoning here. We're going to go on this side here. We'll go on this side here. We're going to go on this side here. And then at last, we're going to go right on top of that meat with a nice even coat. Right there. I think that looks really good. This is exactly what you want your Dino Style ribs to be looking like prior to putting them in the refrigerator, so that these flavors can seep into the meat. And I mean, doing this and following this technique here will definitely ensure that you make some amazing beef Dino Style ribs. And I mean, you just can't go wrong And I mean, you know, you'll see, and your guests or whoever you're serving, they'll understand what really good barbecue tastes like. So there you go. Now at this point, I'll just go ahead and take these beef ribs here and put them into an aluminum pan, and then I'll cover that up with aluminum foil, and then we'll put that into the refrigerator. Let these ribs sit in the refrigerator for 1 day, 2 days. We're not gonna let our meat go bad, but we'll let it sit in there for a day or 2 days just so that these flavors can really work on things. And then at that point, we'll be ready to put them on the smoker for smoke day. Thank you for joining us here at CJ Smokehouse, where we taught you how to trim and season your beef Dino style ribs. I'm out.